All right, everyone. Welcome back to another Productivity Like a Pro podcast episode. We are recording live again with our dear members, and today we will dive into getting things done.
Paperless Movement, your productivity, your way.
Specifically, we will talk about the ICOR concept. It's a workflow behind weekly goals and daily highlights. That's what we will talk about today. And this is all you need in order to accomplish what you have on your task list every day and have a feeling of sensation. And this is all covered in the ICOR journey in the project management like a pro course with more detail. Obviously, there's more to it than just having a weekly goal and daily goal. But this is what we will dive into today with my dear friend and co-founder, Paco Cantero. Welcome.
Hello, Tom. Hello, everybody. Here we are. We are ready
we are.
to take action on anything we may think because we have always planned on a weekly basis. I think one of the key things about our productivity system, if you want to get things done for us, it's a quarterly approach and then a weekly and daily approach. That's the recipe for perfect productivity, I would say, because it's something that if you keep doing and doing in this positive loop every week, it's impossible not to achieve your main goals within a quarter, or if you take longer, a whole year. It's amazing whenever we look back and see where we were just one quarter ago or just 1 year ago. A year is almost nothing at all. But if you take this quarter and weekly and daily approach, then there's a huge bunch of time to get things done. The moment that you plan them well, and I think that's the main thing about a productivity system, being able to plan everything the right way so that the moment that you take action, you don't need to think. Because I think that people tend to plan and execute at the same time. And I think that those are two different processes. For me, it's quite relaxing, I would say, the moment that I plan my whole week and I just need to pay attention to that planning and execute. I forget about planning, I forget about organizing the things, and I just handle the unexpected event based on the thing that I should be doing at that moment based on my planning. And I think that approach, the moment that you perform with consistency week by week, it will take you to any destination you may dream about.
And now let's break this up because you mentioned a few things here, and I think we should start at the basics as part of the action world in ICOR. So you mentioned quarterly, then weekly, and daily. Quarterly means this is the goal setting for us. You can plan your goals for a year, but we believe in 90 days because they are far away that you can accomplish a lot in this time within 90 days, but they are not too far away in order that so many things change during this course that you lose sight of what your initial goal actually was. The goal setting is the first step, and here we are in the BPM area, the business project management. So for those of you who know the ICOR framework, we differentiate between personal and business parts and project and knowledge management parts of a productivity system. Here we are now in the business project management system, and we will go into the personal project management system over this course. So goal setting. Here we talk about the business goals and that we sit together and make a planning and say, what do we want to accomplish in the next 90 days? And that's where we set the goals. We do this in ClickUp on a high level without too deep descriptions or anything like that, because the details will come up in the projects. Whenever we create the projects that are related to these goals. Depends on the complexity. It could be also a single task that is completing the goal as well. It's really depending on the complexity, which is our output elements in the project management, like a pro part of ICOR, where we say the task is the only actionable element inside a project management system. And depending on the complexity, you can have several tasks that get grouped inside a project then, or you can have subtasks that get grouped in. But we're getting too complex here. Just keep in mind that the task is the actionable item. That's the thing that needs to be executed on. So now that we have the goal setting done, the next step is then to plan out these projects, have these done, then we have the tasks, and then we have a lot of tasks. And that's the problem where if you are a person working in several teams maybe, or you are too ambitious with your goals and you see there's a lot of tasks for you on the list. How do you approach this then next?
For me, I've always believed in the weekly planning. For me, it's key for a team. No matter, right now we are running more than 70 people in our team, and we are doing exactly the same. Every one of us set the goals for the week, what they consider that it should be their workload based on all the unexpected events that will emerge coming out of the blue. And that's important so that
And
you
here
should.
we have to say that the weekly goals, to not getting confused, we have the quarterly goals. These are really the high level goals that are just the North Star to go to. The weekly goals is usually a task that you want to accomplish, a milestone, as we select this in ClickUp, that we want to accomplish this week. So a weekly goal is actually an actionable item inside the project management system versus the quarterly goals is just the North Star that we are following. I think that's important to mention
Correct.
here.
Yes, because the main goals, okay, this big one that Tom has just mentioned, just show you a direction so that maybe there are some cases where you never achieve those goals because something else appeared on the way while you were going into that direction. And that's the way of creating a productivity system that is flexible, and it's something that you can adapt to the current days where many opportunities emerge out of nowhere, and you need to have a flexible productivity system. So having a direction helps you avoid going to from here to there and changing direction everywhere. So that it's like a railway, but maybe there are some splits on the way or different ways that you may take if you consider that they are worth it. But the point is that the moment that we go down and define those weekly goals, those are the tasks that every team member assume that they can achieve on that week. We create our agenda meeting every week, and then we decide if that workload is aligned with our goals, if we consider that we can achieve that. And then, based on all those tasks, we select what we call the weekly goals. In the case of ClickUp, we select a type of task that is called milestone so that we can clearly identify them. That means that no matter what happens, we should try to dedicate time and, if possible, okay, complete any of those weekly goals that they are not goals. We insist they are tasks that you can perfectly handle because you can manage them because their time duration, it's something that you can perfectly manage. That's a problem when people try to plan and execute super complex tasks. What usually happens is that they never get completed because you cannot manage. And the moment that you have any unexpected event, any unexpected task, then you delay them, you stop them. The moment that you need to restart those tasks is a pain in the ass, and then they will never get completed. That's why those weekly goals should be something achievable, no matter if it's that you're going to complete them or you're going to dedicate the right amount of them. Maybe we tend to say that those weekly goals should take no more than 3 or 4 hours as the longest time to complete or to dedicate time to. Why? Because the moment that we create that weekly planning, those are what we tend to call task for you deep work, okay, your focus work, time slot where you produce at your best. In my case, is the first thing in the morning. So I block 3 to 4 hours, normally 3, because I don't have a longer time slot. And then I dedicate that time slot to my weekly goal every day. I try to create weekly goals that I can achieve in 2-3 hours. That's what I dedicate because for me, I put one weekly goal every day, but sometimes it doesn't work that day. For instance, right now we are working into creating and writing a book. So as you can imagine, that's something I cannot dedicate 2 to 3 hours and that's completed. So what do? I have weekly goal of dedicating 2 to 3 hours every day, first thing in the morning, to that book. I have created task, a specific task. You can name it a chapter or an episode or whatever, chunks that for me, it's something that I can achieve. Today, I will write about these 3 concepts. Tomorrow, about this workflow. Everything is pretty well defined, and that's the way you can accomplish such a huge goal as writing a book. That it's something that you don't know how to manage. This is the way, okay? And then, for me, In this case, that now I'm laser focused into writing the book. I don't want to have any distractions. I don't want to lose focus. I just want to be focused on that because one, that's how I can complete that task in the least amount of time possible. And also, everything will make sense because I don't get distracted about anything. My focus is day by day from Monday till Friday into that main project so that the end product, okay, the outcome, it will be something that makes sense, or at least that's what we hope. So what do I do with that huge project and just the same weekly goal and the same weekly goal? I have created tasks for specific chapters or concepts or workflows, things that I know that more or less I can dedicate 2 to 3 times and they will get completed. And that way, I keep moving things on a weekly basis. And the other approach is crystal clear. You create tasks, specific tasks that you can complete in that time frame. And based on that, you put them in every day. That way, you guarantee that at the end of the week, you have completed 5 weekly goals that are driving towards your goal because they are connected to a project and the project is connected to a goal. As easy as that.
What Paco described there with creating the task. So in fact, he just described there the creation of subtasks out of this main task. Or it is the project that consists of all the tasks, creating the different chapters, right? So the weekly goal is working towards the project. And that's why we call it weekly goals. We said it's a task as well, but it's not black and white there. So in this case, for example, the weekly goal would be the task, which is not written down, working towards this project, creating the book. And inside this project is the task that we need to work on. And therefore, Paco has these tasks that he mentioned there, and each of these tasks become a daily highlight. Now we're closing the loop here. So we have the weekly goal to work towards this project, creating the book. The project defines the different actionable items, the tasks that need to be accomplished to move forward inside the project. And the daily highlight ensures that every day it was focused to work on this weekly goal, working towards this project. And there are only 5 days in a week, and every day there are 3 to 4 hours. And that's where we say a task should never take longer than 3 to 4 hours, an individual task. If so, then it should be split into either having a task with subtasks, so the task itself becomes just a container holding other action items, or even a project on its own. So you can split it into several days again. It is not that you have to do exactly the same thing. There might be tasks that take a bit longer, and then you keep the task for 2 days and you know that you have your daily highlight on these 2 days, right? So if it gives you friction creating more tasks and makes no sense to split it because it just takes longer, this is where you have to be flexible. It's just the understanding of the basic concepts and workflows there that you have the ultimate North Star, which is the quarterly goal. Then, based on this goal, you have created projects that are containers holding the action items to drive your project towards completion and therefore achieving your goal that you set there. And then you have your weekly goals to ensure, like a sub North Star, if you like, to focus on what project you're focusing on this week. What is the highest priority that we need to work on? And then we have the daily highlights where you go down to the action items per day, so you're really sure that you're moving forward every day. The key is that's the whole day. We just talked about 3 hours. There's a lot more in a day. That's where the speedies come into play, which are the tasks up to 15 minutes. And these are the daily grind that you have to do in your business every day. So by separating these from the main task, you are ensure that you focus really on the main task that will help you to achieve a daily highlight and tap on your shoulder and say, I did it. That's the most important thing. And I know by completing this, I moved the project towards the weekly goal, and therefore I moved the overall business towards the quarterly goal. That's the bottom-up and top-down approach in both directions. We start with a goal on top-down, and then we can look up from the task back up to the goal. So there's a golden thread going through all this. I see Volker said in the chat, I'm struggling to set good goals. I'm only working alone. Does it make sense there anyway? Of course, it makes sense. You have to have a North Star. So if you just use this tool agnostic and general definition that we gave you there was no team mentioned in the whole thing that we said here. Yes, we have our agenda meeting and we talk about this, but you can see your weekly agenda meeting with yourself, thinking about the goals, seeing the projects that you want to accomplish, and then choosing what you want to focus on this week and setting out and planning out the daily tasks. And there we come now when we talk about tools, how we do this, the top planning on a business perspective as a team, but also you can do this on your own if you want to split the project management from your task management to be more efficient there. We start with ClickUp, managing the goals, seeing the projects all the way, as we mentioned, top down and bottom up. Everything is in ClickUp visible. But then when it comes to personal task management planning, these things move into Sunsama. This is the planner. There, we personally, Paco and I, individually plan out our week because there are other things during the week that might come. For Paco, it's multiple businesses. For me, it's other duties that I have to fulfill during the week. So therefore, we are planning out our week using Sunsama. And then there is Todoist for speedies that we mentioned. The daily grind, the things that come up very quickly. That's where we're using Todoist in order to collect these very quickly and also to keep on track what needs to be done that is quickly to be done. And therefore, it's easy the moment we hit the routine. See, we are actually talking about a lot of different concepts. So we are now in the task management, like a pro part of the ICOR journey. There we have the routines. So the routines ensure now that whenever we start a day, we have the morning routine working on the 3 hours of the daily highlight. Then there is an afternoon. There are obviously more things in this routine, but this is now to stay in the context here. And then we have the afternoon routine. At least for me, there's an afternoon routine where I have the speedies then. There's a block to work on the speedies, as many as I can in a specific amount of time. And that's it. It doesn't hurt if you never complete everything, because that's where people get anxiety. They have an infinite task list, but they only have a finite calendar day. And then in the end of the day, they have a list of things that never got completed. The sensation of anxiety and not being motivated, having the feeling not getting things done, is the lack of definition what was crucial on that day. By just saying, you said this was the thing that needs to be completed on that day, and then in the end of the week, you know what you completed for the whole week. This is what drives you forward. So it makes all the other things less important compared to what you really worked on. So first of all, you focus on the things, and you also get a sensation that you completed the things that matter. This is where you align with your team leader. So if you're a team member, then you can say, we agreed on that this is the weekly goal, and this is how I planned out my week, and I work towards this goal. And therefore, there is no discussion back and forth, what have you done? Because the key is just to get these things done by agreeing everybody on this and having this bird's eye view on the business goals as well. Everybody is moving towards these goals together. Very transparent.
For me, it's key, and it's something that I highly recommend, is to set weekly goals, sure that you can complete in the time that you're going to dedicate to those weekly goals. For instance, I would stay humble, and maybe those 3 to 4 hours are too ambitious. So I will reduce the amount of time and just put it in an hour, for instance. Things that you can do in an hour that you are 100% sure that it's taking you closer to any of your big goals, of your main projects. Whenever you move from goals to projects, that a project is something that it's even much more well-defined in the sense that you can perfectly see, because there's an outcome, there's a course out there, there's a new product. With a project, you know the time scope, when would you like to finish that project, and also the outcome. Based on that, you have created the tasks. So the moment that you create tasks that belong to any project and you are sure that they are driving towards that goal, for me, it's key, okay? Because the moment that, for instance, let's say that you have weekly goals that you know that you can complete in an hour. It's just 1 hour out of a whole day, just 1 hour. You can disconnect, nothing will happen, but it can wait, everything can wait, and you are just focused for 1 hour. 1 hour of deep work, laser focus into something, it's a huge step forward. The moment that you accomplish 5 weekly goals, we are talking about 260 daily goals in a year. If after completing 260 tasks, weekly goals, you don't achieve the goals that you have previously set, then you got a problem about setting your goals because it's literally impossible. 260 hours of deep work, laser focus towards completing a project, towards achieving a goal. It's the easiest way possible because it's effortless, I would say, to dedicate just 1 hour, but every day, 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour. And then improvise the rest of the day. Okay, obviously, that's why we recommend create routines. So that way you also guarantee that everything is running. Create routines for your shallow work, create routines for your admin processes, create routine for whatever you may think about. That's the meaning of a productivity system. Okay, it's something that once it's running on autopilot because you don't have to think. You dedicate time to think, to planning. The moment that everything is planned, you just start executing with this structure every day and every day. And you will see that A, you will complete all your weekly goals. B, you will complete and accomplish all your projects. And C, you will accomplish all your goals. And on top of everything, in the least amount of time possible. For me, it's something that I have tested for decades. And this is the approach to guarantee that you accomplish all your goals in the least amount of time possible. It works because it doesn't take you a lot of effort. You don't need to put a lot of energy to make this thing run. And I think that's the key because, first of all, most of the people don't have any system at all. They just start improvising or go from here to there. They stop, they make a break, and that's something the moment that you don't have a system. But in some of the systems, sometimes people are too ambitious and they try to accomplish huge things. I'm going to dedicate to be focused into a task for the whole day. That's something impossible, especially with busy professionals. Those are our members here. We got a lot of things to do. We also have very active personal lives too. So everything combined and with the of urgent. Now, I want all the pressure that we receive within every day. It's impossible to be focused just for 1 hour. So if you guarantee that you are protecting just 1 hour per day, it will be amazing because you can also apply the same approach to projects. Instead of projects that you want to accomplish in a quarter or in a month, you can reduce the scope, okay, just to 2-3 weeks. The smaller you make the definition of the things that you want to achieve, the higher the probability to achieve them. The moment that you get comfortable into this system and this methodology, it's pretty easy to start leveraging. And then you are moving your scope of quarterly goals. Then the projects can take 3 months without any problem. Then you can put daily highlights that you can accomplish or complete in 3-4 hours. And then imagine if I'm just saying what you can achieve just by dedicating 1 hour of deep work, imagine the moment that you level up to 3-4 hours or whatever. I think for me, even 2-3 hours is the sweet spot because it's something you can achieve. It's realistic. And also because if you focus a lot in these weekly goals and you start leaving shallow work and other things behind, then you will find yourself with a pile of work that it's totally overwhelming. I have suffered of that. And the moment that I don't pay attention to that shallow work, to that fire hose of actions, because it's not just information, it's also actions, and then you feel overwhelmed. And then it's the moment that you start not doing your shallow work and also reducing your energy, your momentum towards your focus work. And then nothing works. As a last piece of advice, I would say reduce the amount of focus work for each day. Dedicate just 1 hour. Give it a try. Try for a whole month, then check what you have accomplished in 1 month, and you will be surprised for sure. If you respect the system, you will be surprised.
And what is important to add here to give the full picture of this whole concept is the due dates. So when people set due dates, this is where they say, I need to get this done by this day. And usually they're never met. I saw this so many times for myself, for other teams, for clients. It's impossible because this is too granular. Therefore, per definition, projects have a start and an end date in ICOR. And this is the ultimate end date. And the goal is to have it completed by this end date. And be sure by moving towards your completion of the project with the concepts that we explained here, with the daily highlights and the weekly goals, you will automatically achieve this deadline of the project if this is set realistically. So therefore, for us due dates, we use them in ClickUp, but we usually set them to Mondays in order to move either task to the next week or weeks after and get reminded then whenever we worked on completed the other tasks. The next tasks are already in queue. The moment we hit Monday, we are in the agenda meeting, we can plan our week and reprioritize again our tasks. That's the moment. It might sit there with overdue. That's when you go into our ClickUp that we might have overdue tasks, but that's because we launched it the week and it was set to Monday, and we do our personal planning inside our personal planner. Obviously, if you have to report to your boss and so on, then you might consider to reset the due dates inside ClickUp, which is perfectly fine because therefore you can plan out at least the daily highlights that you want to accomplish. That's one thing that I want to mention. Then the other thing is, Paco says just 1 hour per day and do this for weeks. I'm working 10, 12 hours every day. And so how should it help me this 1 hour? That's not all you do on the day. That's where you have to use the energy levels to focus on the things that move the business the furthest away before you focus on all the other things that you have to do anyway. So we mentioned already the speedies that are part of the routines. But the output elements, we have also work streams. And work streams are like projects, but recurring. And now this is already the answer to Mary inside the chat. She said, I find that it's so important to properly estimate the time required for tasks. I got much better at this when I started doing time tracking several times a year. So I could be more realistic about how long tasks and from that project takes. And that's what I kept saying about time tracking just for the sake of staying in control and being transparent about time. It's nonsense, in my opinion. But it helps to estimate how long a task takes. But only, and that's not a key, for recurring tasks that you know how long that you will keep doing them, especially in work streams. Then it makes sense if you want to optimize this that you start tracking and then you get a feeling when you then plan out the week that you know, well, I have to accomplish these work streams because work streams, per definition, will drive the whole business towards the ultimate goals, having the business grow. So you have to do these work streams every week anyway, and they're automatically on the weekly goals. But therefore, you have to know how much do you need to invest time each day in order to then plan out the projects during the week as well. Maybe there's a person inside the team who only works on work streams, and then therefore the whole weekly goals and daily highlights are automatically set each week. It's key that we differentiate between these normal project and the weekly and the work streams. But task estimation and time estimation is really hard the moment you start a complete new task that you never done before and you don't have any idea how long this could take because it's not your expertise or anything like that. If it is anything that is related to your skills, then you have a intuition how long this could take, and therefore you can estimate already. Will it be more than 3 hours or less than 3 hours? That's all you need to know. Will it take me more than 1 day or less than 1 day? That's already an estimation that you can do there. But not be so strict with you. If you're working on a project that you don't know how much is involved and you just get started and you set a due date for this project, then it is nonsense to say we have to complete this by this date. That is very optimistic and makes no sense for most of the team because they have no idea what comes. Or you set it this way and try to achieve as much as possible. You're happy with the 80% that you achieved there and you call it a day. Or you're as flexible and push towards this goal and this deadline. And then you say, okay, if we just have 2 more weeks and we push another thing, we have now a feeling about the project, then move the thing. This is agile and being flexible in project management instead of doing both. Waterfall is nothing and agile is not good. That's what people complain about. Why not taking the best of both worlds and trying to be not so black and white in all these things?
And I was going to say that there are even project management tools that are perfectly structured to make this approach possible. For instance, Linear. Linear works with cycles, and cycle is a time slot that you define based on 1 week to week, whatever works for you. For us, 1 week, and you can perfectly implement because you drop things into any of the cycles and then you analyze every week if that makes sense for the whole cycle or not. And based on that, again, you set the weekly goals, that those are the tasks that you want to accomplish, and that's it. And you start working on a daily basis. I always say the same. People tend to overestimate what they can do in a day or in a week and underestimate what they can achieve in just 1 month. And that's why I recommend this experiment of just working 1 hour every day, laser focus into one task related to one project. And let's see what happens after dedicating 30 hours of focus work into something. I can tell you it will be amazing.
Yeah.
For sure. Just dedicating 1 hour. Imagine the moment that you level up the time duration of that time slot. It's simply amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. As we experience this every week.
Yeah.
Guys, nice that you tuned in, and thank you very much. We will catch you up in the next week.
Okay, thank you.
Everybody's talking about the movement that keeps moving.